Manuka, honey, lemon and ginger. I'm going to beat this virus. Right, final score in tonight's Carabao Cup fourth round clash at St James's Park. Sadly, it was Newcastle United 1, AFC Bournemouth 0. My name's Sam, this is Back of the Net, and we are a Cherries YouTube fan channel. We travel the length and breadth of the country to give raw insights into what it's like following the mighty Boscombe. Alas, we weren't there tonight. Fancy it changing from a Wednesday to a Tuesday with 9 days notice. Not good enough at all. But look, if you want to subscribe to the channel, there's some raw insights, matchday vlogs, and a lot more besides. We would be pleased and delighted if you click that button below. So, on to tonight's game then, and with rumours of a virus sweeping through the Cherries camp, it came as quite a surprise that at 6:45, when the teams were announced, we actually went fairly strong. So, with many of the development side rested from the previous night's Premier League Cup match, it was deemed possible that a large number of them would be utilised for tonight's game, but as it was, only a handful were named in the 20 squad positions. We were playing a 4-4-2, as you can see. Travers in goal, Smith, Mepham, Senesi, Zamora, Christie, Cook, Billing and Anthony, Solanke and Moore up top. It's nice seeing that left-sided combo of Jay-Z and Jaden Anthony, but Billing playing as part of a midfield too always concerns me somewhat. But regardless, you've got to say, that was actually quite a strong side. As that graphic alluded to, we were playing in a 4-4-2. As for Newcastle, when their team was announced, they went strong as well. Pope in goal, Trippier, Shah, Botman, Byrne. Across the midfield, Longstaff, Bruno and Willock. And then up top, you got Almiron out wide, Joe Linton on the other side, and then Callum Wilson leading the line up front. And, you know, the bench itself for Newcastle, that too was pretty strong as well, with the likes of Shelby, St Maximin, Target, Wood, Murphy, etc. So they've got plenty of depth there. Got to say huge credit to the 463 travelling supporters who went up to the top of the Lees' stand and sang their hearts out. We could hear you, I've got to say, so fair play for that. Each and every one of you deserves a massive amount of credit for that. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of the game. And it was clear from an early stage that Newcastle were going to take the game to Bournemouth. Their football was sharp, it was zippy, and they looked really hungry for the ball. I think at times we were soaking it up, absorbing the pressure. We were a little bit passive probably, and we were almost happy for Newcastle to ping these little nice passing sequences on the outside of the box. But it's always going to be risky. And when you've got the likes of Trippier in the opposition side, one of the things you want to avoid as much as possible is giving free kicks in and around the penalty area. And we did that after about 2 minutes, I think. Thankfully, it didn't result to much. He chose a different option of going short. But then later on in the game, he had another shot, which he decided to take on, but it went over the bar, so they weren't fruitful. But yeah, we were making silly mistakes early doors, and our attacks were few and far between. Anytime we got forward, invariably Nick Pope had very little to do, and even when he did have to orchestrate his defence ahead of a Bournemouth corner that we got in the first half, Ryan Christie steps up to take the corner, hits the side netting. I no idea. When you've got a weapon like Kiefer Moore ready, primed and waiting in the box to put it in the side netting, well, it was absolutely criminal. And with that in mind, we got forward, seldom. But Newcastle, as the game went on, especially in the first half, they continued to create chances. I think Shah had a rasping shot that's an excellent shot that just went wide of the post. And then on 25 minutes, Callum Wilson opened the scoring for Newcastle. There was a bit of a melee in the box and it kind of fell to him, and he coolly slotted in. And then it was a raucous St James's Park. He put a muted celebration in. I don't know if that was out of respect for us or whether he possibly knew that it was going to be ruled off for offside, but the linesman at first didn't seem to flag, but then he did. It seemed to take a while for that decision to be made, and lo and behold, finally it was chalked off, and it's unclear from the angle. I mean, Callum Wilson was not offside at all. Willock, who's involved in the melee, he went down, and I don't think he got a touch on it, but I think he was deemed as interfering with play, therefore taking a bit of the attention of Mark Travers away. So when Callum Wilson went through and slotted it, I think that was deemed enough, Willock being down on the ground near the ball, for it to be chalked off. So thankfully it didn't result in much there, but Callum Wilson was hungry, and moments later he had a header on goal, and then a volley going just over the bar, and it genuinely seemed like an opener was just around the corner, but somehow we went in 0-0. I was checking the average positions on SofaScore at half time, and I think we had like 3 players that were in the opposition half, whereas Newcastle had all but 3 in our half. So that kind of showed you where the game was at. And if you also take a look at the overall match timeline here on SofaScore, you'll see at the bottom of your screen here, you can see the waves of home pressure compared to the Bournemouth pressure. Yeah, not overly good, hey. So in the second half, one of the best chances of the game for anyone really came to Kieran Trippier. Really good work down the right flank, and Adam Smith looked like he was running out of pitch, but then managed to get to the byline and fire in a really whippy cross, actually. Much better in terms of the crossing on a couple of occasions today. Some of them were still very loopy crosses, but this one landed right on the head of Kieran Trippier, who had to work to get to it, but when he did, it just whistled past the post. A really good effort. But then Newcastle, I think, they wanted to go for the jugular, and Willock was replaced by Alain Saint-Maximin, who came on, and later on Bournemouth would have to make a change to deal with this. So we had Jack Stacey coming on to replace the rather ineffective Ryan Christie, and what that meant, we had that right-sided combo there of Adam Smith and Jack Stacey. And whilst we know that is more of a defensive change, we also know that the legs and engine that Stacey has, and he's always capable of firing in a decent whipped cross too. Later on, as it turns out, Stacey inexplicably gets moved to the left flank, and one of the golden chances of firing in a shot to maybe get an equaliser was, well, it didn't quite work out for us. That happens later. Anyway, as it happened, the opening and, as it turned out, only goal of the game came from the opposite flank of where Saint-Maximin was, and it was Kieran Trippier that was exchanging these little passes with Almiron, and good cross in the end by Trippier. And I think Adam Smith was trying to outmuscle Callum Wilson, and Callum Wilson, you know what he's like when he's in the box, kind of wily little movements, and it sort of fell and hit Adam Smith sweetly on the noggin, and then loops over Mark Travers, and the despairing attempt to clear from Senesi resulted in, sadly, nothing but a Newcastle goal. Yeah, so Newcastle took the lead, and Mike Botto would never do this. Mike Botto wouldn't. But the PA announcer at St James's Park actually rubbed salt into the wound by announcing Adam Smith's name, as if he doesn't feel bad enough, lads. But yeah, we did start to play more once we went 1-0 down, as is habit with AFC Bournemouth, really, it's got to be said. We sort of tend to come out of the traps when we need to, and that sort of started to happen in the last 20 minutes or so. And I'll tell you what, we had a really nice bit of football where Phil Billing was pivotal on the left flank with a leggy run. It was a long run that he made, but yeah, very leggy, swaggery, swanky, and he ended up finding Jack Stacey, actually. Well, it was a part clearance from Newcastle, and Stacey then came in on his left foot, and it was a solid strike at goal, but it was straight down the throat of Nick Pope. But all the same, it was a pretty good effort from Stacey there. More subs for Bournemouth. Dembele came on for Anthony, and then later Jamal Lowe came on for Senesi. So what that did meant that Dembele went out to the right flank. Jack Stacey went out to the left flank. What? Why would you put Dembele out there? Because he's played there before. He scored from that side of the pitch. I don't know, that didn't really work. But we looked better for it. We were controlling the game more, we looked more dangerous, and frustratingly though, whenever there was a moment of brilliance, for instance, Siriki Dembele on the left, he floated in a lovely little teasing cross that met Solanke at the far post, and we actually gained a corner from it. But from the resulting corner, Lewis Cook puts it straight out of play. It goes over everyone and goes out the other side. I'm assuming this is a new technique. We had 2 corners tonight and 100% of them went straight out of play. Absolutely shocking. I think that maybe the new technique is if they can land it as square as they can in the box, when you've got the kind of weapon that is Kiefer Moore ready and waiting, he can capitalise. So rather than sort of do these loopy crosses, they're going to put it right on the keeper's head. But the execution was not there, and the lack of quality in the final third, well, that was more than evident. Even when Jack Stacey, as I mentioned earlier, he was fed through in the final stages. I think it might have been Billing that laid it off to the left. He tried to pull the trigger, slipped and fell on the floor. I just needed to let the ball run across him and just swing it with his left boot. He didn't, fell over, and St James's Park laughed its head off. It was a scrappy game, really. Newcastle, I think they were trying their best. I mean, I think they found this when we played them the first time round. We sort of strangled the life out of the game. It's clear that they've got so much quality there. And what it does do, though, when you do that, I noticed that the crowd were not as loud as usual. Obviously, I'm just kind of hearing TV sounds there, but you can hear when they're loud and you can hear when they're quiet. And I think that Bournemouth did well to quieten the crowd with our rather bullish style of play, and it sort of gave us a chance to create some inroads into the game, but really we didn't take them. There was just a lack of quality throughout, and ultimately it was a free cone goal that settled it. We had some good shape at times, and defensively we were resolute. And let's not forget that whilst the shots, the stats are pretty damning. If you look at them here, 17 shots to 6. It's not overly great. I'm sure you'll agree, but the chances that we did have, they were actually not bad at all, really. It took some, there were sitters for them, like Almiron somehow missing an open goal. He sort of miskicked it, and I don't know if it is a Senesi or Mepham, but he just sort of stabbed it away in the end. But we could have been 2 or 3-0 down even at half time, but thankfully we only went in at 0-0 and then 1-0, of course, at full time. I'm just looking at the average positions now, and only 3 Newcastle players were in their own half. In terms of Bournemouth, we've got all of them in our own half, apart from 3, which is absolutely scary. That does mildly improve in the second half with the substitutions, but apart from that, it was very much a kind of, I don't want to say part the bus performance, but a part the bus performance. And I kind of try to put it into context. It's the first game back for a while. There's been a virus sweeping through the camp. It's a game that Gary O'Neill, he don't want to lose. He wants to sort of set up this rigidity in this system that sort of all players can get used to. And I think we saw moments today, but Newcastle, yes, they are a talented squad, but they weren't unbelievable today. And we could have possibly got something out of the game. That said, it's a match we don't really care for. Be interesting to see who they draw in the next round. I bet they get a really nice draw as well. I mean, obviously they're in the quarterfinals, so there aren't many easy games left. I'm absolutely certain. But for us, it's a chance to get players fit, and no Lerma. Hopefully that's just this virus rather than anything more sinister, or him being saved for a January departure. And no Tavernier. And with rumours spreading like wildfire, there's been rumours that a freak training ground injury has led to him potentially being out for 3 months. We don't know if this is true or not, but we saw it on Instagram. And if that's the case, then that is absolutely scary. But we have got the likes of Jadon Anthony, who can come come straight back in. I've got to say though that the kind of balance, Jay Nancy and Ryan Christie, I don't think it works really. Ryan Christie isn't that kind of person to take players on. He's a hard worker, he's a grafter, but really the end product, sometimes it's just not there. And I just didn't think it was a good performance from him tonight. I mean, we all know he's got quality. But yeah, in all, I'm okay with tonight. I really am okay with tonight, and just want to see some of our main men getting back into action. And with news that kind of Neto's back on the grass as well, and even David Brooks is in training as well. Lloyd Kelly could be returning. All signs are fairly positive, I would say. But look, we were thinking that Newcastle would probably beat us by more than what they did. So a 1-0 scoreline, which was courtesy of a Bournemouth goal by Adam Smith. It's not too bad. So yeah, read into that what you will. I thought Newcastle, I think, I don't think they'll be overly happy with the performance, but they're into the quarterfinals, so they'll go home happy tonight. But Bournemouth fans, I don't think they should be too discontented. I've seen a few tweets already, like anti-Gary O'Neill brigade coming out already in a match that not many of us even care about. If they cared that much, they would have travelled up there to watch it. As it was, 463 of them did. So maybe leave the Twitter conjecture until you got a bit more about yourself in terms of your argument, because I don't really think it holds in a Carabao Cup clash at St James's Park on Tuesday night. Anyway, there you go. That's my match analysis. Thank you very much for watching. Agree, disagree, let me know. Put all your remarks in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next video of the Cherries. Better have another sip of this, eh? It's so rank.